Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to talk about how to handle windows and doors on our towers. So I have this little tower here that has some windows extruded in it. And we didn't extrude any in any of these other things, but we'll talk about that later. But if you look at castle windows, if you do an image search, you will see that most of them are arched. And our windows are square. So we need to figure out what to do about that. So one thing I decided to do was try to find some sort of barred windows that were square. And I did find one. I think I used this one, and I think I have another one that I saved in the Castle Textures folder for you that you can use yourself. But I think in this case, and specifically in this little tower here, this is purely for defensive purposes. So only soldiers would go up here when they have to shoot things. So for this one, I think the best thing to do is to just make these openings. So I'm going to add an edit poly to the top of the stack, go to polygon mode and select these polygons. I'm going to push Q on my keyboard to avoid moving them, and just delete them since they're just supposed to be openings. And after I select them, I'm going to rotate around and make sure I didn't select anything I didn't mean to. And then I'm going to delete them. Now once I delete them, I'm going to have a problem because these polygons on the inside here, on the back side, will not render. So what I need to do is fix that. So I'm going to turn off polygon mode, and we're going to put a shell modifier on this. And that gives the cylinder an inside. Now it doesn't need to have that much, and it doesn't need to have any outer. It needs to have just a little bit of inner, just a little. And you can see that that sort of gave it some depth. You can see the inside of it now. So that's one way to handle a specific type of window opening. As far as this door is concerned, I'm not sure how I would do that. I would probably put a door texture on it, but let's keep talking about windows for now. So I'm going to undo that, what I did here. So I'll just delete this and delete this. And see, that's the nice thing about using the edit poly modifier. What I did just went away. So what I need to do now is put a texture on these windows, that barred texture. This is another way to handle the windows if you wanted to have some sort of a look as opposed to just being an opening. So we're going to need another edit poly because we're going to do something to those window polygons again. Go to polygon mode, push Q on your keyboard to make sure you're just selecting. And you're going to select all of those. And we're going to find detach. It should be down here in this segment, edit geometry. We're going to click detach, but we're going to use the settings here because we want to detach them as elements. No, sorry. We want to detach them as objects. So we're going to go to Windows, and they're going to be separate objects now. And you can see here they are in our list. And if we select them and get the move tool, you can see we can just move them out altogether. But look what happened. I accidentally selected some polygons on the back side. That is why it's always a good idea to sort of look around and make sure that you didn't select anything by accident. So I'm going to undo that and deselect these now and detach them again. And make sure neither one of these is checked, and there we go. Now when I exit edit polygon mode here, I can select my windows. So now what we need to do is make a texture or a material and apply it to just these polygons here. So we could open the material editor, get a new PBR material, and we could name this one Windows 01. And I'm going to drag off the base color map node here and go to General Bitmap. Now I have already placed in my Scene Assets Images folder a image of a square barred window. Now this is in your Castle Textures folder on your D drive. You can use this. Just drag it into your Scene Assets Images folder. And now I have a Windows texture that I can now apply to my windows. And of course it's not going to look right because we need to put UVW mapping on it. But it also doesn't look right because we have all this extra stone here. So we need to do something to that. We can actually select the bitmap, and if we click View Image, we can drag this red box here and kind of crop it. And we can close that and select Apply, and that will apply the crop that we just created to that texture. And so now what we need to do, because all of these windows are facing in different directions, what we need to do is apply UVW mapping to each one. So let's go to Polygon mode, select these polygons, and go to the modifier list and select UVW map. And that is a planar map, but as you can see it's oriented incorrectly, so let's try Y, and let's try X. I think Y is going to work, and we need to size this correctly by using the length and the width. And that's that one. So we're going to now have to select these polygons. So let's put an edit poly at the top of the stack and select these polygons and UVW map. And check the orientation. This one looks correct, but we need to adjust the length and the width. You can also see that it's rotated just a little bit here, so we can open that up, select the gizmo, and rotate it a little bit so that it's aligned with the polygon. And then we can adjust the width and the length. And then we would do the same thing with this last one. Edit poly, polygon mode, select the polygons, UVW map. And check the orientation. And the rotation if need be. Let's go ahead and size that. You can see that's not correct, so let's try X. X works, but it needs to be rotated. So I'm going to grab the gizmo and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees like that and resize it again. And finish with an edit poly. So now we have those windows textured. And we could do the same thing with the door. So when we come back in the next video, I will show you how to handle arched windows and doors. And we're going to make those for this tower. And I'll see you then.